after you sit on the toilet, don't you? Use that as your meditation.
Not our wives. Nobody listening to this podcast has eaten a shit sandwich. They didn't have a hand in making.
Hello, I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic. You have made it to Recovery Unfiltered. Sit back and relax because we're going to entertain you for a little bit.
My name is Rob. I'm also an alcoholic. And
what else are we going to do?
What else are we going to do? Oh, by the way, we are not affiliated with AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, APP, whatever acronym you've got. We are not affiliated with anybody. We're just sharing our experience, strength, and hope. If you like it, good.
Good. Hey, don't forget our emails, recoveryunfilteredpodcast@gmail.com. That's recoveryunfilteredpodcast@gmail.com. All right, Rob, well, welcome back in. You notice I changed the entry just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I changed that. Miranda was saying, or no, it was McKenna. I always bring my daughters into this, but that's okay. They were saying the other day, Dad, I always fast forward past that. You got to change it. So I did,
Which is great because, they are a great foil for us. Great input. I love true input. Tammy called yesterday and check on me. Said she likes it. She loved the latest podcast. Tell Larry she loves you giving her plugs. Every time you drop an F-bomb, you plug Tammy so she feels a part of the show.
Oh, my God. She's so much fun. So, today it's just you and I, Rob. Just you and I. We haven't done one for a little bit. This is going to be episode 16. We are on our way to 20. We've got some great stuff coming. I'm just going to give a little heads up. We got Jason A coming back in for our 20th episode. We're going to be recording him in about another 3 weeks.
With wife in tow.
Yes, I was going to go to that, and his wife's going to be here. My wife, Katie, has been after me saying that we didn't finish his story. And I've also heard that from other people, right? So I've asked Jason to come in here, well, Rob has. Asked Jason to come in here and sit with us and go over and finish his story. What's going on with him now, their sobriety now, and what they're doing now, and everything he's doing.
And once he gets back from Hawaii, they'll be here. So that's how it's going.
That's how rough his life is going, right?
He's doing it. We just had his 55th birthday, a little surprise birthday last week for him. He loved the shirt. He said, "Thank Larry for the shirt." That meant a lot to him.
Yeah. So a friend of ours passed away 2 years ago now of this disease. A friend that Jason and I knew very well. His name was Shane. And several people had worked with him, and he was coaching over at the high school where I'm coaching at now. And when he passed away, the head coach over there had a bunch of shirts made up. It said mental calluses on the front of it. And on the back it had Shane's face and had a bunch of stuff. And when he gave it to me, I knew how Jason was way closer to him than I was. I mean, I knew him. I coached his sons in football. So, it just felt right that Jason have that because Jason was very, very close to him. So that's why I wanted Jason to have that. And it was a 2X, and with all of Jason's muscles, it's going to fit him a lot better than it fits me.
And he's 55 now, so he can get a senior discount. He was headed to Denny's.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Get that senior discount.
Yeah, so when I was trying to get him scheduled, him and Jen scheduled onto the podcast, I'm like, how about this date? I'm gonna be in Hawaii. So I went to the week prior to that. I go, what about this week? Oh, we're gonna be in Las Vegas
at a wrestling
tournament.
Just got back.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, you're living the rough life. I said, maybe I'm going to talk to the CFO of FFS Studio, which is our makeshift studio here.
For fuck's sake studios.
For fuck's sake studios. And the CFO is my wife, Katie. And I said, I'm going to talk to the CFO, see if we can do a remote broadcast in Hawaii. That got shut down pretty quickly.
Hey, he could bring Brad's friend. Remember Brad's friend who called?
Oh, yeah.
From Hawaii? Him, Jason, and Jen.
Yeah, maybe we'll call him. We'll make Jason go out. That may not be a bad idea. If we can figure out where he's at, tell Jason to go find him.
Oh, he'd find him.
We'd call him, right?
Yeah.
We'd call him and we'd bring him up through here. That would be fun.
Have Brad with us.
That would be a blast. We'll keep digging into that. So when I talked to Rob last week, last week. Oh, you know what? I want to bring up another thing. I want to give an update on a friend that we've been helping. If you remember a few weeks back, probably over a month and a half ago now, we got called on a 12-step for a man that had a wet brain, having memory issues. And he was staying at a memory place over in Oakdale. And I went over there and I called you guys all in. Eventually there was 3 of us there, you, me, and Brad, and we started working with him. And so I'd go in there quite a few times, and you went in there a few times. And then we got to where he was kind of starting to remember us a little bit. I mean, he was still calling you Chip Shot. He really wasn't, because Rob lives right behind the place. So Rob would always tell him, because he's an avid golfer. So Rob would tell him he's only a chip shot away. And Chris started to remember that. And then about 3 weeks ago, he started calling me by my first name every time I saw him. He'd start calling me Larry. And then what was great is when I knew that we were in a right spot with him and his memory was really starting to come around, I took him to the Oakdale meeting and on Saturday. And as we were pulling in, the ladies they always have their meeting at 7:30. And I always make the joke of, and this is a joke, ladies, so don't get mad. Why are the ladies getting to go at 7:30? Don't they know there's air conditioning in the house for housework and it gets hot outside for the lawn work? And because we go at 9 o'clock, and it's a going joke, right? And I said it out loud, and Chris goes, "You said that last week." And I'm like, this guy is starting, his memory is getting
good for Chris.
Oh my gosh. And it literally, yeah. So the next day I called his sister and I just said, I think we really need to start, looking possibly to get him to sober living, or, I think he's kind of starting to get this. His memory's starting to come back. I think, if we get him into sober living. And so one thing led to another, and he committed to go to 28 days at Maynard's, and we dropped him off Friday. So I haven't heard from them. So as far as I know, he's doing okay. I guess no news is good news, right?
We'll see him next Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah, no, we're.
But you really spearheaded the whole thing. You've donated a lot of your time to him into this, and which is,
and I appreciate that.
That is the 12th.
I appreciate that, and like I said, I would never been a sponsor, but man, I'm never going to turn down somebody to help them get them into the right spot. I believe in that. I just want them, and we got him up there. Chris, who was on our show as well, he's his counselor up there now, and Chris and him also went to high school together. So we got a lot of good stuff going.
God shots,
oh my gosh. And it's just, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is awesome. And I really, I turned it over to God. Miranda, my daughter, was, she was worried about her dad getting, she was worried about something happening and then me getting upset. And God love you, Miranda. But, I had to turn this over to God, right? That's what we do. This is where God led me to this. God laid it on my heart that he was ready. Everything worked. He's there. I mean, the
opportunity has been afforded. It's up to him.
Yes.
Yes. And if there's any victory, it's God's victory. But we are the foot soldiers, and you put in the footwork. Yep. If this man works out,
it's God's hands at this point. It really is. You know what? And
you are invested. We are. You are really.
I am, and that's what
it is.
And that's what Miranda was worried about, right? That I was mentally.
But it's good, and if something doesn't work,
right,
we should be disappointed. Right. And it's not wrong to be disappointed. It's not wrong to be angry at sometimes. That's how we mourn.
Right.
The opportunity lost. That's how a human being mourns what was lost. And we show those things. We just don't live there.
Right.
But I think it's.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Like I said, I'm pretty stoked. I haven't seen him. I haven't heard anything from up there, and I was going to call yesterday just to check on him, and Katie goes, you know what, Larry, you need to just let it go. And I think that's one of the things that I'm good at, right? I had to do now is go, it's in God's hands and it's in theirs, right? He's in good hands. If he, decides he doesn't want to be there or whatever, I'm going to get phone calls from the owners and from people up there. They're going to call me. So I was able to. What was so funny is when I got up there and I turned Chris over, and I walked out there doing all of his intakes. I went over in to see the director of the facility, and she goes, "Well, they're starting a class right now. You want to go tell your story?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I went from dropping him off to walking in a class with 10 other people, with 10 people that, what do they call them? Patients or clients, with 10 clients telling my story within the first 5 minutes. And then they asked me if I wanted to stay for dinner. And so I had a whole day up there. You know what? And I've said this multiple times. I literally, when I make that turn off of the main road to go up there where it's at, all those feelings come rushing back to me. I just, I love that place up there. It saved my life, right? Yeah. I mean, so many memories come back, especially when I see the turkeys walking across, how many mornings I watch them turkeys walk across and reading my book. And, it was just awesome. And, all I can do is pray that Chris gets that same relief, right, that I got from being there.
I hope this is the start of his
journey. It ain't the first time he's been down this road.
He doesn't remember the other times. He just knows he has been.
He does, and that was one of the things. He did not say that all the way up there. The day prior, he had said it. What's going to be different this time? Same thing he has said to us multiple times is what's going to be different this time. And, and I'm going to, everybody knows I'm emotional, so I'm going to try and say this part. So when I got there Friday to pick him up from the memory facility, he said, "Can we go into my room and talk?" And I said, "Sure." And that kind of threw up a flag to me. And he goes, "Larry, I don't know if I'm really ready to go." And I'm like, "Oh, crap. Okay, let's talk about this." He says, "Well, I got, his thing was, and I believe somebody else got into his ear a little bit. He says, I just don't want to interrupt the momentum I got going here." And I looked at him when he said that, I was like, wait a minute. I go, "Chris, what momentum do you have going here?" I
was going to ask the same fucking question.
What momentum do you have going here? I said, "Chris, I walked in here the other day and you were painting a fucking pumpkin. What is that doing for your recovery? What is that doing?" And he was like, "Well, and then just about that time they bring in this girl comes in there and just, then she started, "We're going to miss you so much." And she's starting to get emotional. And I'm looking over and I finally go, I see what's going on here. And then she walked out. I go, and I finally looked at him. I go, "Chris, let me ask you a question. What is that doing for your recovery to get you better?" "Nothing." I go, "You're going to have what the love that she gave you right there. You're going to have tenfold when we drop you off up there. And guess what? When you get dropped off up there, they're going to work on your sobriety from the moment we drop you off. And they're just going to continually every day, 8-9 hours a day, you're going to be in the book of recovery. You're going to be in classes of recovery. You're going to learn this thing."
And when the day comes where you can finally walk on your own, and I'm talking figuratively,
right. Right.
When you are on your own and everything has come back by the grace of God and the power of this program, you can go visit these people. You can go visit that young lady again.
Oh, for sure.
And thank them for all that they've done. That's that part of your journey. But right now it's time.
Exactly.
But just like you're getting the kick out of the nest.
Just exactly what I told him. I go, "Chris, do you know how much joy you're going to get when you come back and visit these people in, say, 6 months, 7 months, when you have a great mind, when your serenity has come in, when all this stuff is in place that you can drive your own vehicle from your own house to this facility and go in and show them what they started." Because they did. The same
joy I got when I went into because I remember I went through cancer.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody knows that. Well, every time I'd go through chemo, I'd have to go to the oncology department. And all those nurses who saved my life when I was 8 months sober, they didn't even recognize me. And I never even said who I was. I took a thing of flowers in there. And it was a joy. You know what the greatest joy was? I just sat on this. And who's this for? I just said, for the nurses. And then there's a little card in there about some of the names and what they had done. But I didn't. I got to leave.
Right.
That was the joy.
Right.
I got to walk out of that.
Yeah. And you know what? They give those nurses in there just a joy, to see the recovery. Yeah. Yeah. He will. Because where he's at right now, where he was at, there aren't those stories, because that's the end of life. And he was only 59 years old. Right. And the goal, right. And I kept telling him, "Chris, what's your goal? What's your goal here?" And he's still a little blanked. I go, "Chris, you said about the third or fourth time we sat with you, what is the one thing you want to do?" And he said, "Get married." And I reminded him of that again when we were going up there. I go, and he was still a little hesitant, not real hesitant, but we were talking. And when I was explaining that, we're reaching the goals, you're in a great space. You had to be there until now. Now we're going to step it up a little bit a notch, because now you're going to go into 8-9 hours a day of recovery programs. and you're going to be around like-minded people and, this and that. And I said, it's going to launch you into the next step of this sobriety that you're going to reach that goal of someday being home, getting married, going back to your profession that you love to do, giving him all those lists. And he goes, yep, nope, Larry, he goes, you're right. I hadn't, and not that I was looking for him to say I was right. I was looking for him to feel comfortable on where he was going.
Acknowledge that's where I want to go.
Right. Correct.
Yes, I am scared right now, which is what he was feeling.
Right. He was scared to leave the place,
which is normal. He's leaving that comfort.
Right. And that's what it was. The comfort. You're right. That he was comfortable.
It is an amazing. I mean, that's a great spot to be comfortable because it's.
Oh yeah. That was the other thing. I said, Chris, what's your ultimate goal? If you stay here, people that come into these facilities don't leave these facilities.
No, this is their last stop.
This is it. They come in here and this is it. They're not going anywhere. You're 55 years old. You got things and places to do yet. And I don't think this is the place for you. Anyways, I mean, I didn't want to, my point of that is when I was leaving up there, I dropped him off. Not my point, but the rest of that story is I dropped him off. He needed a few things, because he didn't realize he had to do his own laundry, this and that and that. So I had to run down and pick up some laundry soap. So I dropped him off. I said my story. I went down and picked up some laundry soap, this and that. And I came back. And when I came walking back in, I was listening to him talk down the hallway to a guy that just literally grabbed him and was helping him. And I was listening to him talk, and I could tell he was just already comfortable just by the way he was talking. And then we had the dinner, and I spoke at the dinner again because they wanted me to speak at dinner. So I spoke at the dinner again. And then I basically told them, this is my friend Chris, right? That I brought up here today. I love this man. Before my recovery, I could never say that about another man, but I can honestly tell you, as much as I love that man, I love every one of you guys in this room because I want every one of you to recover. But this man right here, I dearly love, and I want to see him get healthy. I want to see him get married. I want to see him do all the goals that he wants to do. And we walked out and there was a couple of guys that walked out with me. And the one guy was asking me a couple questions. And then Chris was kind of standing there and he just lost it. That booger's crying. Snot crying. And I just gave him a big old hug. And he just says, I have to make this work. And I'm like, yes, and I said, you don't have to, you're going to make this work, Chris.
Matter.
Yes, the words matter, man. You're going to make this work. And he said, yes, I am. I said, just continue to tell yourself that. You don't have to say, I have to. I have to, throw it out the window. You're going to make this work, right? You got too many people around you that love you, that are here to support you. You didn't have that the first 2 or 3 times that you came into recovery. You have it now, right? You got a band of brothers around you that are going to make damn sure that you don't fail, right? And, anyways, that's the end of that. Anyways, on the way home, I called you and I was letting you know what we're doing. And you said, I said you and I were going to record an episode, just the two of us, which we haven't done in a while. And I love to have this one-on-one contact with you in these podcasts because, it's the Rob and Larry show, right? And as much as I love the guests, I love this time with just you and I. And because I talk more than you do, that's why I could talk more. Anyways, and you said, I go, so what do we want to talk about? And you said, I want to talk about this and that and I was like, oh, you know what? That's perfect, right? Because you guys are going to get to hear a side of Rob here in a minute. When I say I'm going to cut him loose, I'm going to let Rob off his chain and I'm going to let him go. And some of you may be offended. Some of you may disagree with him. Some of you may not like his tone on the way he brings it. I don't give a shit. And I'm pretty sure.
But you may love it all. I don't give a shit.
Right. And this is the part where we say unfiltered. And that's what I said to the guys up there.
And I have no idea what's coming.
He doesn't. I've got some stuff keyed up over here that's going to kind of provoke him. So I'm going to poke the bear here every once in a while. And I'm going to play devil's advocate. And I'm going to go back and forth.
The problem is I got poked on Tuesday at a meeting.
Yep. And you told me that. That's why I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna put some stuff together and I'm gonna prod him and I'm gonna get him in. And so here we go. This is going to be, I'm going to start with the first part, and then we're going to get into some second part. There is some recordings that are a little bit long, right? And so one of my big guys that I loved listening to when I first got sober was a group called a couple guys called Joe and Charlie. And I literally, when I first got sober and I got out and I started listening to, it's not really a podcast, it's an audio CD, and it's Joe and Charlie going through the big book, right? Talking about the steps. It's really them going through the first 164 pages. And if you're new to recovery, I highly suggest listening to those guys. It's if you just go into Spotify and just type Joe and Charlie, it's going to come up. And you start from the beginning. You can walk through the first 164 pages with them, and it was an eye-opening for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the 12 steps. You're going to hear a lot of Rob, but I'm going to start with this to begin with, and let's see where this one goes.
Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after have been designed to sell you 3 pertinent ideas. He's talking about the doctor's opinion in the first 4 chapters, and the stories in the back of the book. And if we've been sold on those 3 pertinent ideas, A, that we're alcoholic and cannot manage our own life, then we're through with step 1. If we've come to believe that no human power can relieve our alcoholism and that God can and will, then we're through with step 2. Now, the very next statement says, if you are convinced, you are now at step 3. You see, the fallacy in trying to start somebody in chapter 5 is it starts with step 3. And it's hard to start with step 3 unless you've got 1 and 2 behind you. People come to us today and they say, well, how do you work steps 1 and 2? And our answer is you don't. They are not working steps. There's no action involved here.
So this is that's the first recording, and it's kind of playing them backwards here. But go ahead, Rob.
What? That's beautiful.
It's beautifully stated, right? And
but they're not working steps.
They're not.
Even step 3. Step 3 is a prayer.
Yes.
And the actuality of that prayer, that prayer getting actualized.
Right.
How many times have you said? Many of us have said on our knees, crying out to God to remove this from us.
I've said it
millions of times, and nothing can happen. Why?
Nothing.
Because it's not His to take.
Nope.
It's ours to surrender.
Ours to give.
So when we say these prayers, and like you hear the 3 steppers, right? They come in and they acknowledge. The first 2 steps are acknowledgement,
right?
And the 3rd step is a prayer,
right? And
then how do you turn your will and life over to the care of God? You do the next 9 fucking steps,
right? Simple as
but it's simple, but not easy.
No, 100%.
But it's in that after that prayer. If you want that 3rd step prayer to become actualized, you start doing step 4 and 5.
Right.
It's the same. I mean, can you imagine when we're on our knees crying out to God, take this from me, but then we don't do nothing.
Right.
But when we finally say these prayers and we get up, hey God, I'm going to show you how serious I am, and take these actions, then those prayers become actual.
Right.
I love Joe and Charlie.
Yeah, they spell it out really good. And honestly, they're going to spell it out basically the way Rob, when I first asked Rob to be my sponsor and you walked me through these steps and how you explained it, it makes so much sense to me. And I don't know how or why
that's
people
what pissed me off Tuesday. Let me say, let me rephrase it. It doesn't piss me. I mean, I used to say it drives me fucking nuts. It doesn't. The sentiment is closer to breaking my heart when I hear people say this, because it's right in the book. And people are on the edge.
Right.
And if you would just, and it's not for me to jump on the table and preach. God's already told me don't do that. But if someone calls on you to share your experience, strength, and hope truthfully, and share it, and I do, and hopefully,
well, go. I don't, you know what? I was going to play this other part.
Play it.
I do want to play it, and then I'm going to let Rob go, because what I want people to understand, I want you to understand a little bit about Bill Wilson, who wrote this. He was very, I'm going to let you say it. He was very arrogant a little bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very so. But he also...
But he had Dr. Bob to balance him.
Right.
Was very much grounded.
Right.
Very much. I don't say the book calls Dr. Bob religious, took the religious angle on page 262. Right. He talks about that guy, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I would say spiritual.
Yeah.
Religious, if you want to say that too, that's fine. I don't really care. But Dr. Bob, which is the balance, he kept him grounded to get that, kind of like you and me, there's a balance.
There is, because the way the part that we're going to talk about is how it works. If I was to have written this, the original one is how I would have written it, right? Because he wanted he was,
and I'll show you where he got a lot of that in anyway.
Yeah, he did, right? He did, because like I said, if you listen to Joe and Charlie, which I spent a lot of time this morning researching this because I was kind of getting ready for this show today. So I went after listening to it, I went to the next 2 or 3 pages later, and you see Bill Wilson come right back into the story.
Right back with it. You got that language. You got that word in there.
Right.
You got that language in there you wanted.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. So that was the first part, talking about the last part of how it works. So this is going to be a little bit longer of a read for Joe. So stick with us. I'm going to get through this. If we pause, we may go through this and pause a little bit, but this is the original from the manuscript of how it works.
Before Bill Wilson took it to the first 100 and said, hey, this is what I have. Then they critiqued it. Well, you can't say that to an alcoholic.
Right.
And you can't. And so
I'm going to lead up to it a little bit, because Joe talks about, or Charlie.
Remember, we are not affiliated.
No, not at all. Not at all.
We're not how we got sober.
This is how we got sober for sure. But if you listen to this whole Joe and Charlie, and it's called How It Works, it's that episode, he will explain to you, and it talks about how Bill Wilson was floating around in his chair, and he got up or in his bed, flopping back and forth, and he got up and put pencil to paper, and he wrote How It Works in 30 minutes. He wrote this entire thing in 30 minutes.
And he said, because that's the beautiful thing about this being archived.
Right.
It's a lot of the things that I say, and Joe and Charlie says comes from that. But even if I'll show you, even if all you had was these letters in this book, you can get to it. But he said that, he says he started writing before he knew it, he was done, and there it was.
There it was. And it talks about the 12, that there was 12 steps, and he originally started, but it tells the whole story.
The 6 Oxford tenets.
You're correct. It tells the whole story. We can, if you go, like I said, if you go on Spotify and listen to it, it's Joe and Charlie, and it's called How It Works, and it talks about it. And I picked up some stuff out of this only because this is leading into what, Rob is going to talk about. So I'm going to play this, and if it pauses, I'm going to let Rob kind of discuss a little bit of what's being said. So
he said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our directions.
Not our suggestions, our directions.
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a way of life which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. Now, if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to follow directions.
I wanted to pause that right there, only because I wanted to read what has changed so much in that. Sorry, I'm reaching around back behind me right now. What has changed so much in that? If we go back to,
he used the word direction,
right? Follow our directions, and if you go back into our big books,
go to page 29. Go to the top of page 29.
Well, you have it in front of you too, full.
Oh, well, I can just quote it if you want.
Go ahead.
Further on, I'll just go there. It says further on, are clear cut. This is page 29 in the big book. Because they suggested to Bill, get rid of that because you can't tell.
Right. Further on
are clear cut direct. What does that mean? What does it say?
Yeah, it says further on, clear cut directions are given, showing how we recovered. Right. And so what Joe said right there, or Charlie, I'm not for sure which one is talking, honestly, that it says follow. Anyway, sorry. Dang it, I'm going to have to make a pause right here and fix that.
I lost my page 29.
No, because your crap's all over the place. That's why.
He said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our directions.
Not our suggestions, our directions.
That's what I was trying to get to, how the wording, right? You always say that words makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Followed our directions, not our suggestions, because he's making a direct. Are you okay over there?
That set me off.
Well, you ought to have that thing rebound. It looks like you got a whole envelope of pamphlets over there.
I do.
Good God. How's that new book going? Have you tore it up like that yet?
Here it is.
Found it. I want to get it in order.
It's in order. It's close enough. Fuck it.
You know.
Yeah, but further on, our clear-cut directions are given how we recovered. These are followed by 42 personal accounts. So he gets his words in directions.
Right. Yeah, but he also states it even after that. So I mean, Bill's writing it the way I would have, because I would have been as stern as Bill's trying to write it. But also the other groups at this time, there's the 100, right? They're saying, wait, I believe
there's 99 men and 1 woman.
Right. And they're saying, whoa, we got to be careful.
You can't tell an alcoholic this because they're going to,
Right. You can't.
But Bill found a way to get it in.
Right.
He said, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our directions.
Not our suggestions, our direction.
The word he ended up going with was path.
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a way of life.
Didn't I just play this?
Which demands rigorous honesty.
Okay,
their chances are less than average.
I'll have to cut a lot of this out.
Who suffer
this
from
is my
grave
fault.
emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. Now, if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to follow directions. At some of these, you may balk. You may think you can find an easier, softer way. We doubt if you can.
Personalized.
Yeah, so that's where he's talking about you.
Then he changed it to we.
Right. So that's where when you hear when you go to an AA meeting or you do anything, or you'll catch me doing it you'll hear me saying, you have to do this, you have to do that. You'll hear me every once in a while. I go, wait. I have to do this. I have to do that, right? Because Bill, when he was writing, was basically being a directive, being a big brother, being a daddy. Right. You have to do this. You have to do this. And I can promise you, anytime my wife would come to me, anybody, right? When in my deep part of my drinking, you have to get sober. The fuck I do.
And it is a we program.
Right.
So I agree with that.
Right.
Changing of that language. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
he said, rarely have we seen.
Okay. But there are times to personalize it.
Right.
There are times to bring that home, and you need to own, as far as, owning our own stuff. There is a time for that.
All right. I'm going to have to fix this, Rob. This is going to be, I can cut all this. It'll be easy to so we're going to have to just wait for that first part to go again.
A person fail who has thoroughly followed our directions.
Not our suggestions, our directions.
Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable.
It's fixed now. It wasn't pausing. It was starting back over.
There are such unfortunates. So they're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a way of life
right there,
which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average.
ABC.
There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. Now, if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to follow directions. At some of these, you may balk. You may think you can find an easier.
You can just see a finger pointing at you right now.
I doubt if you can. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil.
But think about this, Rob. He's laying in bed writing that almost like he's writing it to himself. You know what I mean? You have to do this. You have to do this. But he was probably at a
writing
point
it to somebody.
Right. No. But my point is, yes, he was writing it to somebody, but he gets like I get sometimes. Same way as I got when I was, let's go back to what the original podcast, why it started. When I was working with my buddy, you have to stop blaming yourself. You have to stop. You have to. It's that I get, what are you doing? You have to stop this. Nobody takes directive like that.
Not that it's not true.
No.
But you're not, it's the honey and the vinegar thing.
Right. It's like what, and that's where I think what what the 100 were saying to him is, you can't talk to people like this, right? So
until we let go, absolutely.
No, that's what they said to him.
Remember that you are dealing with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one who has all power. That one is God. You must find him now.
Must. Yeah. Then they used must.
And then you're going to hear there's no must in the big book. Right. Yes, there are. I think there's 13. I think there's 13 in the first 164. I know there's 131 gods. In the first 164 pages, God, G-O-D, is used 131 times. That's not counting spirit of the universe. That's not counting power. That's just G-O-D.
Right. Okay.
Half measures will avail you nothing. You stand at the turning point.
You
throw yourself under his protection and care with complete abandon.
Throw yourself.
Right.
Now we think you can take it. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as your program of recovery.
That's why I keeps going this, and we're talking over them speaking, only because to listen to it from our standpoint to where it's written at now, it's
there's just, but I mean, what those subtle changes make a big.
They do.
I like it like this though.
Oh, you and me both.
Because when I work with a man and they're ready, let's break it down. It's more.
Let's just read it right here for their listeners that are not really up to speed on that, where it says, remember that you are dealing. What did he just read? At some of these we balked, right? Half measures.
Well, you may think you can.
Right here. So what he just read was, half measures will avail you nothing. That sentence in the book, here it is. Half measures availed us nothing. Then in the original transcript, it says, you stand at the turning point. In our AA book, it says, we stood at the turning point. The word stood is there.
And we
throw yourself under his protection and care with complete abandon. In our big book, it says, we ask his protection and care with complete abandon. So it's saying the same thing in a softer tone.
Right.
But
in other places, which I'll show you, he gets that language in, which is so
right. And when we get through this, I'm going to let you explain the 12 steps.
Well, I wouldn't have to, just a few, just a lot of the work.
I just enjoy, and when I'm saying I'm prefacing because I'm getting our listeners, because you say it so passionately, and it's every time you say it, it inspires me again to understand that the way I did it, the way a big chunk of people did it, is the right way to go about it, right? And
not because we say so.
No,
because
correct.
It's the language, and
you're still on your chain, Rob.
Okay, I got you.
I haven't let you go yet.
Sorry.
Hang tight over there.
I don't realize I'm doing it until I see the spit start coming out of my mouth on the microphone.
I'm gonna have to wash that windscreen when we're done. All right.
1, admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable.
Step 1.
2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Step 2.
3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care and direction of God as we understood
step 2.
him.
Yep.
Over to the care and direction of God as we understood him. Remember that. We'll refer to it later on.
That's 4, the second part that I played.
Fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God and to ourselves and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely willing that God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly, on our knees, ask him to remove our shortcomings, holding nothing back.
Yeah, so in our book, and you heard Rob just say it, they took that out. Humbly on our knees.
Step 7.
Asked him to remove our shortcomings, holding nothing back. In our big book, the newer version, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings, took away from our knees completely.
8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make complete amends to them all. 9, made direct amends.
They took complete out too.
Correct.
Yeah. Because in our big book, it says, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
And I agree with taking complete out.
Became willing, yeah.
Because you know how perfectionist we are.
Oh, yeah.
We might feel that we didn't get something done, and we're going to have that linger in our mind.
Oh, I did.
And an amends.
I did.
But an amends is to make something right, to amend something.
Oh, for sure.
Make it right.
Yeah, and when I was doing mine.
You don't need complete.
No, well.
I don't think
I didn't need it because in my own mind, I had to.
Well, then you're going to have alcoholics. Well, what is complete?
Right.
Was this just a bunch of idiots?
Right.
I'm glad.
Bunch of overthinkers.
Yes, great. And I'm one of them.
People wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our contact with God. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual experience, as a result of this course of action, we tried to carry this message to others, especially alcoholics, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs.
See, they changed that one a lot.
Yeah,
what an order. I can't.
Yeah, so our 12 steps says, having had a spiritual awakening.
He says experience.
Right. Yeah. I didn't notice that the first time I went through this, Rob. Of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics. Especially. So they took out especially alcoholics.
Yeah, they said they just want alcoholics.
Well, it kind of leaves it open to what you and I have spoke about multiple times, that this book and these steps could work on anybody.
Well, yeah, they could. If you want to just subtract.
I mean, by Bill putting that in his original writing, he's basically saying especially alcoholics.
Right, but eventually they took all that out, and that's just reaching out to alcoholics, which is fine.
Yeah, and the rest of that, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. So let's go ahead and finish this up.
Can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We're not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we've set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Now, our description of the alcoholic.
That's the doctor's opinion, Bill's story, some of it in chapter 2 and 3.
The chapter 2, the agnostic.
Chapter 4.
And our personal adventures before and after.
Bill's story and those in the back of the book.
Have been designed to sell you 3 pertinent ideas.
Remember.
Well, Bill was a salesman.
Right.
A, that you are alcoholic and cannot manage your own life.
They changed that one.
They did?
Yeah. That's changed. That you, he says we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives.
You're right. Sorry.
Personal, and they made it.
B, that probably no human power can relieve your alcoholism.
They changed that too.
Step 2.
Yeah.
C, that God can and will
if you were sought.
The rest of step 2.
That's also step 2.
If you're not convinced on these.
Well, that changed also.
Yeah, they changed the last 2.
That God can and will, and it's in our big book. It says that God can,
could and would
if you were sought.
Yeah, then that's so important though.
Right.
That's where they're getting on your knees and crying out, and God never answering because it's not His to take; it's yours to give up. If He's sought, and you're seeking Him through action, not through words.
Right. This last part.
This is my favorite part. I wish they'd kept
the book to this point, or else just throw it away.
If you, sorry, I walked over that. It says if you are not, this was part of the original. It says if you are not convinced on these vital issues, you ought to reread the book to this point, or else throw it away.
I love that part, and I wish I'd have kept it.
But in our big book, after it says that God could and would, if He were sought, it goes right on to a new paragraph. Being convinced, we are at step 3.
But are we though?
Well, go, boy, go.
But are we? Because
you hit it. I've held you on your chain long enough.
Because you don't get to step 3 till page 63.
Right.
You're on page 59, I believe, right?
Right.
Yeah. Being convinced we're at step 3, which is that we decide to turn our will and life over to care. God kind of describes that.
Right.
Then you go all the way to page 63. More and more we became interested in seeing that it says we were now at step 3. Well, how'd you get to? Because it talks about the selfishness, the root of our trouble,
right? Which
is selfishness and self-centeredness. That is the root of our trouble, us,
right?
Self,
right?
And how it manifests itself. Mm-hmm. And on page 45, it tells us what our dilemma was: powerlessness. Which, doctor's opinion, Bill's story, tells and more about alcoholism. Or no, there's a solution. That's the problem, powerlessness. We didn't have power, and we were selfish. So once you go to step 3, you pray, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do this third, because remember the first 2 steps are not working steps. Step 3 is just a prayer.
Right.
They're acknowledgments. They're not working steps. Drives me. Anyway, well, because people go out and fucking die.
Right. Right. I mean, this is what I'm trying to get you to do, Rob, because we were just talking.
But just listen to the language, okay?
Right.
Then we do this prayer. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our makers, we do the prayer. And then after that, Bill describes, okay, what you just did. And he should have done this before you said the damn prayer, because what does he say right after that? We found it very bizarre. We thought, well, before taking this step, well, son of a bitch, I just said the prayer. Right. If you should have put that before the prayer. You better think well before saying this. Because what he's hoping to get is once you do this prayer, which will have no permanent effect if you don't. And I'll show you where he says that too. He gets what he wants in. And then what does it say? And once he expresses, okay, you better think well before you said this prayer. Well, I just said it, motherfucker. So what do you mean? Then he says next. At the bottom it says next. Yeah. Not a week from now. This is what I said on Tuesday when this guy said, right, he's a year sober. Oh, I'm not on step 6 and 7 yet. And I whispered under my voice. I didn't realize I did, but my sponsee next to me heard me and commented after the meeting, you should punch your fucking sponsor in the mouth.
Well, you've said that on here before too.
Because she was reading from this page.
Right.
She went from page 75. But what does it say at the bottom, Larry? Next, we launched out. Right. Not a week from now. Right. Not a month from now. Once you say this prayer, the next action you take as far as the book is concerned is next. We launched out on a course of vigorous action, which is a house cleaning, steps 4 and 5. If you want that prayer, the 3rd step prayer, to become actualized in your life, if you want God to start manifesting himself inside you on this prayer, you go do these next actions. Right. You show him, I'm serious.
Yeah. So I'm going to read that real fast because
lay it down.
Yeah, I want to read this real fast. And my beautiful niece, Emily, up in our studio, I have this, the step 3 prayer. It sits behind me and Rob stares at it. But this is step 3 prayer. It says, "Dear God, I offer myself to you." Now in the book, it's written in Old English, right?
So it says to thee.
Yeah. I'm going to read it out of the big book, right?
Let me just read it.
Yeah, read it. Cause I'm
God, I offer myself to thee today to deal with me and to do with me as you will.
Right.
Relieve me of the bondage of self that I might better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them, my difficulties, may bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always.
Yeah, so that it's written in the Old English in our big book. And when I had it put on, I'll read it in normal English because I don't talk that way. So when I was having a hard time memorizing this. I finally took out the thys and the these and just spoke at it in my way. And that's the way I had my niece write it out for me and put it in here. And I'm going to put this up on our Instagram so people can see it because I love this thing sitting in here. But anyways, so yeah, that's our step 3 prayer. Sorry, I just want to get it out there because we were talking.
And then next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action. Then you turn the page. So and this is not Rob's opinion, obviously. And then it says, though our decision was, this is on page 64, though our decision was a vital and crucial step 3, that prayer, it could have little permanent effect unless at once. It says, at once followed by, listen to the language he uses.
Right.
All that strong language that they cut out of here, he gets back.
Oh, yeah.
At once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us off. This is my favorite part. Everybody knows this. Our liquor was but a symptom. So we had to get down to causes that condition. So what Bill just told you is that 3rd step prayer, beautiful, powerful, would mean shit.
Right.
It means nothing to God.
Right.
Or no benefit to you.
Nothing.
If at once it's not followed by, what does he say? Strenuous effort to face.
Right.
And face yourself and be rid of.
To thy own self be true.
Come on.
Yep. I mean,
own your shit.
Right. That's why it's written on my arm.
And then he tells you twice, our liquor was but a symptom. On page 101, he says bottles were just a symbol, which means me and Larry, anybody else out there, whether you're a drug addict, alcoholic, or just a fucking asshole, I wasn't the man I was and didn't behave the way I did because I drank and used drugs.
Right.
I drank and used drugs and behaved the way I did because the kind of man I was.
Right.
I wasn't the devil. I wasn't an angel.
Right.
But I had a man problem. I had a Rob problem. It wasn't the other thing.
Yep.
And that's what he's trying to get across to you.
Yeah. So, and I want you to go on, Rob, because you continue talking what you say at once, right? Because at once, right? All right. Now
it says next we launched out.
Right.
You go into the next action after you do that 3rd step prayer, which you are supposed to do as far as this book is concerned. The next action you take is writing this inventory. He breaks down what that inventory looks like. Get going.
Right. So when you hear people say that you're like,
I do a step a month.
Right.
You're a fucking idiot.
Well,
you wonder why people are getting drunk. And then I heard someone at the Friday night meeting didn't want to sponsor. This woman didn't want to sponsor people. She told me because none of them stay sober. I said, well, what do it's women. We can't get people drunk and we don't get them sober. It's God. I said, well, what are you doing? Oh, well, we do a step a month. And I did. Okay.
Right.
Maybe I'll make a suggestion. Well, Rob, you just look at the fellowship that's growing. Look at Doug. Me and Doug went through his.
Right.
Doug didn't have a sponsor. He tried once in 18 years sober.
Mm-hmm.
No success. We go through his steps again.
Right.
We break it down the way you old timers did, the way we're doing it. He's got 3 right now. He's 21 years sober. He's got 3. And he called me the other day, son of a bitch. He's loving it.
Right.
But now he's realizing.
Yeah. So there's hope for me.
It's coming. When God's, but look what you've done for Chris.
I know, but
you've got other things going.
Right. And that's very, you know what? I do where God leads me. And I've said this multiple times, right? I've said it multiple times. He's going to hit me with a sponsee, and it may be Chris. It may be when he gets through this. Listen, you're going to run him through these steps, right? Because Chris is going to say, "You're doing it, Larry."
And why do they do this? Because Jackie shared at the meeting, which did this at the meeting, that no one. And I was just sitting there listening to people, and I wrote this note down, Larry. This is again. See this, after the prayer, the action taken is where the promises become actualized. That's what I wrote. I don't know where it came from, but let's go to page 75 real quick. Then we'll get, because you do this work, and remember next we launched out of it. So you do 4 and 5. You do it.
Right.
You do the writing.
Returning home.
Oh, hold on before you go there. Right.
This is why I said I was going to unleash Rob. You should see his face right now. It's red.
But before you go there, the paragraph will go. This is where she stopped. She started at returning home, talking about step 6 and 7, and then talking about how all their defects of characters. Well, my defects of characters are still Jay. This pisses Jay off. Well, because they'll say, and then some of the people were saying this in this meeting, about their character defects, which of course we are not going to walk perfectly in this life.
Right. But
she started from returning home. And then, so I went back to page 63, and when I got to my turn to share, that was after the curmudgeon down at the end shared that, because we know last month he just got his 1-year chip. I'm sitting there as a brand new guy. The only reason I'm at this Tuesday meeting, the only reason I'm there, and not at men's Bible study, is because Chris, our brother from Leonard's, sent a brand new that he'd just gotten home. So I said, all right, young man, I'll meet you. And he lives right next to primary. So I said, I'll forego. I didn't tell him that because he doesn't need to know that.
No.
Like I'm sacrificing.
Right.
I just said, I'll meet you there.
Right.
And then the sponsee who's on this fucking step, well, he did it because we did the 5th step. Then after the 5th step, guess which homework I gave him? Hey, let's read the book. Let's do what the book fucking says. Imagine what happened. And just look at the life he's having right now.
Right.
He went from 1 week, want to hang himself, and now look, he can't stop smiling.
Right. And this is the reason why
some recovery in.
This is a reason why I wanted. There's certain things about this recovery that I can turn it back on a little bit. If you want to do it, I'm not going to say an easier, softer way, because in my eyes, there's no easier, softer way. But if you wanted to slow it down, and some people need to recover that way, Rob. Not everybody can recover this way.
No, I go get it.
Right.
But the people that God brings to me,
right,
are ready for this.
But I want people to understand.
But all I want to say is the way I do it,
right,
the way I choose to do it, can be defended from the book.
Yeah, yes, but
it's all right here. It's not Rob's fucking opinion. It's right here.
Right. So, but let's go back to this, right? Let's look how the percentage of people that stay in recovery has diminished over the years, right?
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Because they went away from doing it the way.
Let's go back to the 4 to the 2nd.
This is I was going
right here.
When I said I was going to poke you, this is what I was. This is
1955, right?
Yes.
So 20 years after the book was written, it was,
right.
Well, after actually 34 was when it was founded. 39 when the book was written, right? But still, 1955. AA grew by leaps and bounds. This is the 4 to the 2nd edition of the book. For this, there were 2 principal reasons: the large number of recoveries and reunited homes. These made their impressions everywhere. Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. So 50%, 1 out of every 2, 50 out of every fucking 100 came in, got sober, never had a relapse. And this is where I tell people, this is the first place. And then it says 25%, 25% sobered after some relapses, and among the remainder of those who stayed on showed improvement. So 50% came in and got sober at once, never had a relapse.
Never had a relapse.
This is early AA. 25% had a few relapses. So you're talking 75%. So I'll share that with a newcomer. Yep. Who's ever worked with me. Do you want to know why that is? Now we can go talk to my sponsor Jay, who got sober in 1974, and his sponsor Van got sober in 1954, and you can pick their brains on it, or we could go right in the book, so you don't have to ask anybody.
Right.
And we got the first 3 alcoholics: Bill Wilson, stockbroker.
Right.
Dr. Bob, doctor, obviously. Bill Dodson, AA number 3, who was a lawyer. We've got their stories and how they did it. Yep. Yes, it was a 6 Oxford tenets at the time, but the principles are the same. Mm-hmm. We can get into it.
Right.
Bill Wilson, on page 13, you can find out. You don't even have to know that he was 8 or 9 days sober. You can go to the archives and look that up, but you don't have to. In the book.
It's in the book.
You realize this cocksucker's still in the hospital.
Right.
He's got his 8-step list written.
Right.
The only reason he's not out doing amends because he's still
in the hospital.
Page 156, where you read about Dr. Bob's magical drive, where he goes out and makes his 9th step, because that was June 10th. 1935, the birth of AA is his sobriety date, June 10th, where he goes out and does that magical drive of making his amends, never has a drink since. Then on page 184, if you want to go read that, Bill Dodson, AA number 3, he talks about his admittance, his last time he was admitted to the hospital, which was June 26th.
Right. Look at the
1935.
Yeah.
So that means Dr. Bob was 16 days sober working with this guy. Never had a drink since. So how?
Right.
They didn't. And the reason you do this, because it's fresh. And that's what the reason, after you do your 5th step, because what does it say on page 75? It says, we pocket our pride.
Right.
This is another one of the 3 and 4 working steps, 5 and 6.
Right.
Or 4 and 5 working steps.
This is,
5 working step. You're doing action. Right. We pocket our pride and go to it, illumine every single defect, every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing. Listen to the language.
Right.
Because you're only sick
it's very definitive.
You're only sick as your secrets. I mean, listen, if your chicken died and you don't want to tell this guy like mine did, that'll get you drunk. It'll
stay there. Yep.
We are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. That's why Bill changed that in the steps, because he's going to get, he got his spiritual experience in.
Yeah, he did.
Spiritual awakening in the steps, but he's going to get that in. He got it. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we're on the broad highway walking hand in hand with this. So you just did your 5th step. What's the next words? Returning home. The next action you take off that, because it's still fresh, is when you go home, you take that 1 hour, you get the book off the shelf. Your book should never be on the fucking shelf anyway.
No.
And I used to be so anal, I'd make guys, hey, when you get home from my house, you put your book on the shelf.
You said that before.
You don't have to do that. But anyway, because I want the trust to be in God and this literature, not me. I will fail you because I'm human. I'll disappoint you. And then you go home, you take that 1 hour. It says you take the book off the shelf, you open up to page 57. It says open up to this page of the steps, which is 58, 59. You look through the first 5 proposals. You look at your work. Is it solid? Have you left anything out on purpose, basically?
Right.
You thank God from the bottom of your heart. You say that 7-step prayer, and then off you go. Off you go. It says, because after, what does it say, Larry, after the 7-step prayer? After it says, amen, we have then completed step 7. What are the next 4 words on page 76?
Oh, I don't know, Rob.
It says now we need more action.
Right, there it is.
Without which we find that faith without works is dead. That's from the Bible, James chapter 2, verse 20. Works, baby.
Work.
Now it says now we need more action. So the next thing you do is you start doing that list, which your book is going to tell you. You made the list when you did steps 4 and 5. That's not accurate. Right. There were a lot of people on my 4-step inventory, my resentment list and all that didn't make it to the people that I'd hurt. Mm. There were people on my 8-step that didn't make it there. So to me, there's some of the same names, but not all, and I share that with the guys, but you get into action.
Action.
And then once that's done, and listen, I gave the guys, because the way life is and work is, like what I did with you. Yeah. We do this, the next Wednesday, we're doing the next. And they said, now, Brandon,
we did. Yeah.
Brandon's almost done.
And he's only been with us a couple weeks. 3 weeks.
I sit down with him he got finished early.
Right.
I'll move heaven and earth.
For sure.
And I know. I'll break appointments. Then let's go. If you're ready,
let's go.
Sit down.
Yep.
Let's go.
I remember.
Because it's that important. So the next week we sit down and we go over steps 10, 11 and 12, how those actions are taken, and then we help him live. Yeah. And then go and help someone else.
Yeah. And that's where when my first sponsees came in, was right after I had finished my steps. Like, I don't know, it was in 2 weeks. I was at a meeting and I had somebody come up, and I had shared something in the meeting. I had a guy come up to me and ask me if I'd be a sponsor. And I was like, sure. About the third visit here, when he was making excuses why he wasn't going to come. And then he finally shows up 2 days later. He sat across from me and he started to blame somebody else about something. And I'm like, yeah, no, this ain't going to work, brother. This ain't going to work. I literally, I went over to him again. I go, yeah, but this ain't going to work. You're going to have to get out. I can't, I don't have the patience for you, blah, blah, blah.
I think it was a little more stern than that.
Oh, it was. I'm just trying not to sound like the asshole I was being, but I was, and here's the reason why.
But that's why I have my rules.
Right.
And I must stand by them.
And I don't mind them, because I use the same ones. If I'm going to sponsor somebody, say your rules, Rob. Say them.
Rule number 1 is you don't lie to me and I don't lie to you.
Amen, brother.
If you can agree to that, we go on. Rule number 2, what you say to me and what I say to you stays between you, me, and God forever. It ain't your wife's fucking business.
Nope.
It ain't my wife's fucking business.
Right.
And I say it just like that. Rule number 3, at any time you want to go a different direction,
right.
Go, grow. I'm just here to help.
Right.
And rule number 4, don't waste my fucking time.
There you go. That's why I threw that guy out of this house that day.
And if you can go go. But if you break, and I don't care who you are, if you break one of those.
And listen, I don't go by those rules because it's that I idolize Rob and that. But it's just, to me, those are just those are common sense rules.
But I didn't start out with those.
No. But those are common sense rules, Rob. If you really think about them, I mean, there's nothing in those 4 rules that are, once again, and I'm gonna read. We're gonna start closing this thing down pretty soon, but I want to know. The reason why I like that is because it's the way I needed it, right?
Right.
It's the way.
And I'm not saying everybody needs it. All I'm saying is, if you just listen to the way the language of the book,
right, it
is not meant to take it because the reason is, especially with the alcoholic,
right,
who's self-centered, egotistical.
Let's break it down to who this is going after.
Yeah.
It's a fucking alcoholic that you're dealing with.
Right. You got to hit it and hit it fast.
Right.
The minute that ego starts to, Bill knows that, we know, the minute that ego starts to grow back, you lose them.
Yeah, I know.
Hard and fast.
I know me, when I came out of recovery, if I hadn't went directly to a meeting that night and gotten a sponsor directly, I would have started looking for reasons not to follow through. Right. And until I got through step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, then I could back off the throttle just a little bit.
But as you do these things, as you do these this way, the way the book lines out,
right,
returning home, you start just like Brandon. Remember, his face was red.
Oh yeah,
he was gritting through his teeth.
2
days later. I mean, there were rough days,
right,
because and luckily he had me.
Right.
And I just happened to luckily share with him. My sobriety was just, where you were at, I was just like you.
That goes back to what you and Pat talked about, those raw nerves, right? I didn't have that.
But he
right?
did. But he did.
He did.
Here we are. But
right,
2 days later, doing some more of this work,
right,
the piece of those prayers started being actualized because he was doing the work.
Yeah.
And I just texted him on the way out here.
Yeah.
You can't stop smiling.
Right.
Yeah, your face going to break, dude.
And here's the thing, though, and Brandon, if you talk to me, I'm going to tell you, guess what? That smile goes away. But how do you react?
It will. He knows that, but just like I told a young lady when I went to work with Nathan on Friday night, the other day, 2 nights ago. Oh, that was rough. But she was in there, the last woman in there, last person talking to him, and we got to talk a little step work, because she was struggling. She was scared. She wanted to do these perfect steps. I said, you can do perfect steps as long as everything you share is honest. Perfect.
Right.
More will be revealed.
Right.
That's fine. But just go get started.
Yep.
Go get some of this relief.
Yep.
Go.
All right, Rob. I was going to say that going back to your percentage of when I was speaking
upwards of 75%.
Right. When I was speaking at Maynard's last Friday night, there happened to be exactly 10 people in that room, 10 clients in the room, right? That were there for recovery. But here's what I said. I go, out of all 10 of you in here, the percentage of you, only 2 of you are going to stay sober. That's the current percentage of what they're talking right now. Only 2 of you. The rest, the other 8 of you, are going to either end up in an institution, dead, or in a hospital. One or the other.
Jail's institution or death.
Right. That's where so 8 of you are going to be there. 2 of you are going to keep it. Which one, who wants it the worst, right? And and it's the other reason why I think I'm so dead serious about it. I think that's why you're serious about it, because we know what this shit will do. We've watched it. We've seen it.
Well, look at our men's group. Just in the 2 over 2 years you've been with us.
Right.
Look at the balloon.
But the other thing, Rob, and when I started, it started back up, right? It just started back up, and there was times of just 3 of us in there.
Yeah.
Right. There was just 3 of us in there. But where it's at now,
God keeps adding more and more.
But on a slow night, there's 10, right? On a slow night, there's 10. And anyways, but I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. But I mean, if you listen to this and you think we're just in here ranting and raving and that blah, 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 listen, this is how I this is how I recover. This is how Rob recovers. This is how we stay in recovery. It's the way it was written. If you are still struggling, do it. Find a sponsor that's going to beat you over the head with this and do it hard and fast and do it by the book. It's not beating you over the head.
Just listen to the words.
Just listen to the words. Do it by the book.
Do the next action.
You may change the way you're looking at your sobriety, right? You may change the things, the promises that they speak about. We're going to start coming quicker, right? Quicker than what.
Prove me wrong. I mean, if you do it this way with an open mind, prove me wrong. I'll kiss your ass.
Right. Hey, whoa, hey.
Sorry.
Hey, man.
Not if you're a dude.
I'm going to put you back. I'm going to put you back on your chain. Anyways, Rob, I've been wanting you to
set that up.
I've been wanting you. I won't. I'm going to leave it on there. I've been wanting to have you explain that. There's been bits and pieces here and there.
And again, I want to say it doesn't. I mean, the reason I'm passionate, it comes closer to breaking my heart when I hear people making these mistakes.
Right.
Then it does really pissing me off.
Right.
It hurts because I know the blessings that can come if you would just.
Right. But also, Rob, in that we've spoken about this.
Everybody's got their own journey, and I got to let them have that.
But it's also what you and I have said, that it pisses us off because that's the way we separate it, because it does hurt us, right? It does. I'm still working with the guy we've spoke about not working. I haven't heard from him. The guy we spoke about, a few months back, that calls me when I was in Texas. I haven't heard from him since. I don't know if he's alive or dead. I don't know. But in the way do I think about it from time to time? Absolutely, I do. And my heart breaks, but my callous of me saying, fuck him. Right.
Yeah.
He had every opportunity to get help.
Right.
He had it, didn't want it. Fuck him. Right. Now,
if he called tomorrow, we'd be.
If he called me right now, I'd shut this podcast down and I'd go running over there to grab him and hug him.
Yeah.
Right. But anyways, all right, Mr. Rob, thank you, sir. Remember, you can reach us at recoveryunfilteredpodcast
at gmail.com.
That's where you can find everything. And you know what, Rob? So fun to be back in here with you, just me and you. We are going to have another guest next week, and I'm so thank you for joining us today.
You know what? We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.